Hi, my name's Craig McVoy. I'm the MD and founder of Consort, and I'm here today to talk to you about one of the topics of the summer that's been making the rounds, which is what really is customer experience. My background is I've been working on customer programs with large corporates for over 10 years now, and have helped some of the world's best brands in producing some of their customer strategy and their customer programs. So yes, some people are now changing the name of their customer service teams to be customer experience, but it's not really a name for an existing department to now take on a new mantle. It's clearly a big part of what makes up customer experience is the interaction of your people with your customers, and educating your people is a big part of that, but it's not a like-for-like replacement. You can't change someone's job just by changing their job title to be responsible for customer experience. You can't rebadge it that way and expect things to be different. You'll just get some experiences that are the same as they've always been. The importance of customer service clearly needs to flow throughout your organisation, and that needs to be in both your sales and your after-sales teams, and that gives you a really good chance of delivering a consistent experience with your customers, and perhaps can even recover from some of the areas where your brand has perhaps had interactions that have been let down in the customer experience journey. The rise of digital is a hot topic and one that's clearly linked with customer experience, but there is a big difference between the digital experience and the customer experience. The user experience, or UX, is generally something that a customer will have with a product interaction through the channels of your digital mediums. So that could be on your website, or it could be on self-serve portals. The customer experience, however, is the overall experience that a customer feels when they interact with your brand through many different channels and many different areas. Customer experience clearly contains user experience and digital. As I said, the rise of the channels of digital now, with customers utilising technology more and more to interact with their brands of choice. But they can still have a good user experience by being able to find your website easy to use and easy to find, and also the information on your website up to date and user friendly, but can have a bad overall customer experience when it comes to incorporating that with your call centre or retail centre, or perhaps even the brand or the product has been let down at some point in it's been used. User experience definitely needs to be covered as part of a great customer experience, but digital is just one of many things to consider. Well, it's clearly a big part of what makes up today's customer experience. So omnichannel, a bit like digital, is a big topic, and they're linked together and become a key part of the customer experience strategy. However, in the past, perhaps people have looked at multi-channel as being what they needed to offer customers, having single channels and solutions for their social media, their online, their call centre solutions. But today's customer now needs and expects more. They've got multiple channels that they use now when they're interacting, depending on what is convenient for them at the time that they're interacting with your brand and your company. So they could start that by a web browsing session on a smartphone on their way to work. They'll complete that with an interaction on their desk, on their PC on their desk whilst they're at work by using the web chat. They might take that then and have a look at that on a tablet on the way home using the FAQ and looking at online help, perhaps ringing the call centre for some advice on something that's not on there, before completing the transaction on the web to get the web discount, and then perhaps even picking up their product from the retail centre. So that may sound like quite an extreme example, but now 86% of people are utilising more than one channel when they interact with your brand, and this is becoming a much more frequent occurrence now. In fact, customers have got the expectation that you will have this type of a journey now, and that they don't expect to have to go through the history of their interaction with you when they contact you. When they call up to discuss their inquiry, they don't expect to then have to go through the fact that they emailed you earlier today or earlier this week. They don't want to repeat themselves in that. They want you to know what that content is and to be aware of it and to be able to react to that when they get in touch with you. In fact, personalisation of service is now becoming an extremely commoditised and commercial focus, with 14% uplift in sales arising from a personalised service. The best companies are now starting to approach this as part of their solution in having a single view of the customer. And actually the millennials have this expectation that that's how businesses should be working no matter what happens. These kids obviously have never even seen a CD, let alone understanding that a cloud is not necessarily something with a silver lining, but something that they have as part of their technology suite. So yeah, big data is an increasing priority of the C-suite. The rise of the machines and digital has meant that big data is becoming bigger data, and in fact the amount of information exceeds the capability and capacity of some companies' R&D and marketing teams to use. At a recent event, I had a discussion with someone who insisted that customer experience was just about data, and that it was a commodity to understand your customers more and gain commercial advantage to understanding how to get more money from them, how to increase share of wallet. Now clearly commercial advantage is about knowing your customer, and if you can understand the likes and dislikes of your customers, you're more inclined to be able to position your products and services in a more personalised way to gain more value for the company. But just like UX is part of CX, it's only part of it. And if you only focus on the data, you will only win those kind of interactions that focus on data interactions and insights. What you really need to do is to use data as part of your toolkit and use that information to gain significant advantage, really, when you interact with a customer, to make those moments of truth be really special. Otherwise, as soon as someone is doing it better or cheaper or quicker, then they will take your customers away from you and become your challengers, or your competitive brands will then become the new best friend of your customer. Well, who owns the customer anyway? Is it marketing? Is it operations? Is it IT? Because they have the data these days. Or is it just part of the strategy team, or even finance, because they understand how profitable a customer is. It can be quite confusing, and traditionally marketing were the people who would own a customer because they have the goals of delivering an increased customer spend, share of wallet and customer retention. And actually it's the best place to still put the customer experience if it's just those areas that you're focusing on. But what we see now more and more is that there seems to be a rise of a customer experience department within businesses. Roles such as the Chief Customer Officer are rising at the top table for those brands who really see their number one focus being around the customer. And actually the information that's being driven is growing dramatically. So big data, as we said, becoming bigger data, and the amount of analytics and tools that are required to understand your customer fully are growing ever more every day. So it really does need an owner who understands all the areas of a customer, and that is about the customer journey across all the channels, looking at the processes in the operation and how they are used with the customers, and linking that to the digital strategy and the personalisation of the marketing strategy, so that the customer does get a targeted approach through the appropriate channel at the right time, and for it to seem a great experience. It's quite a wide remit for people to own, and they need to have a great experience of managing in a matrix environment and working with the IT teams, the HR teams, the operation, marketing, complaints, product, pricing. So they have to really be great at pulling all of those areas together to deliver a customer experience that considers all of that. It's quite a big investment for businesses to take to produce a customer experience department, but actually once you understand the value of customer experience and what it can do for your brand, it's quite a good investment. So yes, employee engagement is a big part of customer experience and actually a really important part to it as well. So and businesses that are looking to put the customers at the heart of their organisations need to do so in a way that's more than just corporate wallpaper. And that starts right at the beginning with your recruitment strategy of your staff and making sure that flows all the way through your organisation in terms of your customer touch points and documentation that they receive. In fact, the vision of being customer centric needs to be championed by the leaders of the business, and that needs to stand the test of budget constraints and prioritisation of other projects. And great employees will provide a great customer experience, and they'll do that because they care about the customers that they're serving. But it does start with the employee experience. So the service profit chain has stood the test of time. That was around in the 1990s, and that showed that if you get great people in and recruit them into your business, provide them with a fantastic environment to work in, reward them fairly and provide them with a great pay, they'll become loyal employees and actually will stay with your business to provide a great service to your customers. And that generally results in great customer loyalty, which will have the benefit of customer retention. You've got customer recommendations, your increased share of wallet, and even has an impact by reducing your operating costs as you have less complaints to deal with and less customer queries. Can really focus on the growth of your business and your services that you offer. So actually everybody wins, but it does start with the employees, and you really need to focus on the employees if you're going to have a successful customer experience strategy. 30% of all failed customer experience programs do so because of a lack of employee engagement. So you really need to take your people on that journey with you if you're going to be successful in driving a customer experience strategy. Well, actually, all of them are correct, and a good customer experience program will include all of those aspects that we've discussed today. And if you wanted to break that down, I would make sure that you have a good people strategy as part of your customer experience program, and that needs to bring people on board. It needs to have employee engagement, and it needs to be incorporated into your recruitment strategy and your onboarding strategy, and flow through the organisation as you do your training and development as well. It needs to include all of the stakeholders of the business, and it needs to be clear as a part of your communications program, and it needs to flow from the C-suite as a vision that flows throughout the organisation through all the key leaders as well. When we look at the technology piece, you need to consider the omni-channel strategy as we've discussed, and also incorporate digital and data as part of that, and look at the integration of your systems and your processes to provide you with a single view of the customer. You need to use your customer information as part of your insight strategy, and it needs to be a joined up customer journey throughout all of that technology suite. With regards to process, you need to look at operational excellence and standardising your process ownership, as well as considering the life cycle of a customer and the CRM strategy, and consider the interactions that are made throughout that as part of your marketing strategy. Luckily, we can help you at Consort to provide expertise in all of these areas. If you're looking at your digital and technology solutions to drive commercial advantage, we can help you with that whilst placing a focus equally on customer experience and employee experience to make sure the program is successful. If you're interested in having a conversation with us on how we can help, then please feel free to have a look at our website or give us a call on the number on screen.